All right, it's time for this edition of the Weather Desk, where we take a deeper dive into the weather stories that matter not only for Hampton Roads, but around the country, sometimes around the world. But we've got a lot going on here in Hampton Roads. I'm joined by Marta Berglund and Eugene Daniel. Good to have you guys here. We've got a lot to talk about over the coming weekend.
We're going to have a busy weekend, all three of us.
So Marta has joined our Daybreak team, now covering traffic and doing a great job. She's going to talk a little bit about some of the travel difficulties we've seen this morning and some others coming into the weekend. Eugene, this story, this winter storm that is coming, it is not just local, it is having national impacts.
It certainly is. I mean, we're going to be looking at some things on the south, and obviously all eyes are happening in California too, and how the weather has an impact on that.
Yeah, so a lot to go over here, but let's start with the big story for Hampton Roads, and that is the snow for Hampton Roads. It's coming in Friday night. Our entire Daybreak team will be here with you Saturday morning to cover the snow. If you joined us yesterday, I had called a weather alert day Friday night and into Saturday because of the threat of this wintry weather. Well, things are still looking pretty snowy for Hampton Roads. Friday night into Saturday, we're going to deal with the wintry weather here. I think we're going to see snow, and there'll be some areas that see a mix farther to the south across North Carolina. Areas down there more likely to deal with a chilly rain to mix, but we'll break all that down for you. The timing on this, it's going to move out sometime probably during the morning on Saturday, late Saturday morning, and we'll see clearing through the afternoon, but you need to stay alert. There are going to be very slick roads out there overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning, and that's going to be the concern. I think folks will wake up to snow on the ground Saturday morning for many parts of our area. We do have a winter storm watch. This includes the eastern shore, the middle peninsula, south side Hampton Roads, all the way out into the Piedmont. You get out into central Virginia here, out west of I-85, we've got that winter storm watch extended, and northeast North Carolina, you are under the winter storm watch as well. Warnings and advisories out to the west. We'll talk a lot more about that coming up. But I wanted to just quickly talk about the difference between a watch and a warning. You might be thinking, well, Craig, if we're pretty confident that snow's coming, why isn't a warning now for the area? Well, the watch is issued when we suspect there is this possibility within 48 hours. We just entered that window late last night and early this morning. That's why the watch was issued. You want to stay informed and start thinking about how you'll prepare. When we get closer, and this will likely happen later today, within about 36 hours or so, you start looking ahead and you say, okay, confidence is there. It's now imminent that we are going to see wintry weather, and this winter storm will impact the area. It flips to a warning, and at that point, you need to stay informed on how things are evolving with the storm and take action if needed. Now, I will tell you, this isn't going to be the worst storm to hit Hampton Roads ever. We're going to talk about that, too, coming up in a few minutes. But it is going to be a significant impact, and I think the heaviest snow that we've seen in quite a while. This system right now is going to produce the snow across the central U.S. You'll notice Hampton Roads here, sunny. It is cold, no doubt about that. But we're sunny and dry. No problems through the day today. This storm system rolls across the deep south. Heavy rain for parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. But notice this mix in snow all the way into western portions of Georgia. Atlanta's going to see some snow before it changes over to some mix. By Friday afternoon, you're checking out the mobile app, the 13 News Now mobile app. You're looking at that radar saying, hey, I see a little bit of snow out to the west. It's possible. Some of it may be flurries or just starting to make it down to the ground by early afternoon. But as the middle part of the afternoon and the late afternoon wear on, we'll see it getting closer. Now, it's interesting. This is the updated graph model, and that approach has slowed a little bit. It's now more in line with the GFS model and the European model, and starting our precip chances really late. By 9 o'clock or so, I think we might see a few flurries, maybe some light snow showers starting to fill in out towards I-95. As we head through 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. This is what we've been saying all along. So I'm not changing the forecast one bit based on, for the timing on this, based on what I'm seeing here. But it brings in that snow, most likely late evening, say 11, 12 o'clock for the metro, reaching the beaches at that point. And then the snow continues overnight. And look at this, that rain snow line staying down to the south. This is with the graph model, and this model has been killing it, doing a great job handling the recent storms. You can see through Saturday morning some lingering snow showers here, but it never really changes over to rain with the graph model. All right, that's one model. Here's the American model, the GFS. Again, that snow approaching late Friday evening, really after, say, midnight. That's when we really expect the snow to start kicking in. You notice the GFS a little bit warmer. It draws some rain up into the area, but there's question here. Yesterday, it brought a change over to rain. Today, it's got the mix, and this morning, it's keeping the rain down to the south. So the GFS trending colder towards the European and the graph model that I just showed you. As we take a look at the European model, again, it brings in the snow and that mix, and then eventually a brief mix before it exits. Now, as far as the snowfall projections, you can see 2 to 3 inches across Hampton Roads. That's with the Euro. The American model, the GFS, still looking at 2 to 3 inches widespread, close to 3, maybe even 4 or more, some locally higher amounts farther inland. And now our futurecast, the graph updating 2.5 to say 4.5 inches in this area. The models are coming together. So there's a look at the timing. Obviously, some big issues coming up with the snow impacting our roads Friday night into Saturday morning. We'll see the improvements later on. Want to talk to you about the impacts. Again, snow and wintry mix, the greatest of the impacts. Freezing, not as great an issue on Saturday as it's going to warm up. There is some concern for refreezing. Winds will not be a problem. Confidence in the overall forecast is moderate to getting high now as we're getting closer. A little more detail on our confidence here. There's still question as to how much warmth comes in. So I'd say medium to high on precip type. I do believe we are going to see snow. Snow totals, that 2 to 3 inch with locally higher, maybe up to 4 inches. Gaining confidence there, and the timing very high. The models have been lined up and they're not changing. So that's how things are looking. I want to talk to you about the travel situation. Marta Berglund's been standing by. Marta, talk to us about some of the issues motorists have been facing.
All right, thanks so much, Craig. Obviously, we saw some ice on our roads earlier this week, but if we have that accumulating snow, that could add some difficulty as well, especially Saturday morning. Hopefully, not many of you are headed out the door too early on Saturday. Of course, it is the weekend, but if you are, just take your time and allow plenty of stopping distance between the cars in front of you. Also, always stay away from those service vehicles, the plows laying down salt and all of that. This was our traffic conditions this morning at around 9:30. Not much to worry about yet. We do have wind advisories in place, and these have kind of been changing throughout the morning, and we could see them going into the weekend as well. At about 9:30, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel did have a level 1 restriction. We saw level 2 restrictions earlier on in the morning, so these are the vehicles not allowed on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel on Thursday morning. Of course, we'll keep you updated if that changes throughout Friday and Saturday. Telling you this because I had to do this earlier on this week. Make sure your tire pressure is ready to go because that cold air can add that weight to your tires. So just make sure you're checking it routinely during your trip. Of course, the tire pressure machines, now you plug it in, it tells you what PSI your tires are at. It's pretty convenient, and lots of places around the area have that free air. So be sure to be aware of that. Always have that ice scraper handy. Always have mittens or gloves when you're driving. You never know when you could break down. You don't want to be stuck without winter weather gear. But we'll be here all throughout tomorrow and into Saturday, keeping you prepared for those travel impacts. Craig, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Marta. Appreciate your input there. We saw temperatures this morning down into the teens for inland areas, low to mid 20s. And when you get these cold temperatures, your tire pressure does drop. It's just a product of the cold air. And that's exactly what Marta was talking about. Our normal low is 34, 26 this morning in Norfolk. But you know, it wasn't just the cold temperatures. It was also the windy conditions. We've seen wind gusts in excess of 35 to 40 miles per hour off to the north. and Tangier Island 43 miles per hour. At times it's been very windy at the ocean front and down along the Outer Banks as well. Virginia Beach recently reporting a gust to 33 miles per hour. So cold and windy, and that means frigid wind chills. We pick up our futurecast. You'll notice the winds are still going to be in that 30 to 35 mile per hour range along the ocean front, and for parts of Hampton Roads closer to the coast, eastern shore closer to 40 miles per hour. At times this afternoon, we could still see gusts coming in off the Chesapeake Bay over the eastern shore, 40 to 45. So it is going to be a very windy afternoon, and again, blustery with the cold air. Things will be settling down a little bit overnight, still breezy, but eventually the winds ease, and then we have to worry about that wintry weather approaching. You take a look at the feels like temperatures this morning. Melfa, Wallops Island, single-digit wind chills. Temperatures combined with the wind feeling like it's in the teens for most of the area early this morning, and the forecast through the afternoon, wind chills will stay in the mid-20s. Marta said it. I will repeat it again. Make sure you've got hat, coats, gloves, scarves if you have them. Make sure you're bundled up against the cold weather. This is a type of cold and wind that can create problems for your skin. Wanted to show you our Priority Automotive sky view at the ocean front. The wind's blowing, and you can see while the sun is reflecting, we've got full sunshine. It is windy, and we actually have gale warnings up for the bay and the ocean. They continue. The seas running 6 to 9 feet in the bay. The waves 4 to 5 feet. So obviously small craft, you want to stay in port. You don't want to mess around with gale warnings. All right, we're going to take a look at what's been happening in the southwest U.S. And of course, this big story, if you've been watching any of our national coverage, LA's been dealing with high wind warnings. Wind advisories continue, and they've got this particularly dangerous situation. The red flag warnings continue with the high wind gusts, and they have been well in excess of 50 miles per hour. Low humidity, the dry ground, it has been combining to produce a lot of trouble. In California, the crews battled the wildfires overnight. You can see there's no rain to help. We'll take this full, and I want to go ahead and show you some of those images from California early this morning. What a mess. It's including this Hollywood Hills fire not far from the Dolby Theater at the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That is a live look right now. We are looking in on one of our stations here in Southern California, and you can see those flames continue to rage. Nearly 2,000 homes and buildings have been destroyed, and nearly 400,000 homes and businesses have lost power. And across LA, it's just too early to know the true scale of the damage. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
The wildfire emergency in Southern California showing no signs of slowing overnight.
There's a new fire right there that's grown pretty quickly and is now getting closer to Runyon Canyon.
A new fire erupting in the Hollywood Hills, marching toward iconic landmarks.
Plenty of those embers are coming down on top of us.
This palm tree outside a Hollywood home catching fire, neighbors jumping into action, grabbing a ladder and hose to save that house.
The balcony was on fire, and I went around the back to grab the garden hose.
Firefighters dropping water from above.
You have a whole lot of people in these cars especially coming down from the Hollywood Hills trying to get as far away from this fire as possible.
More than 130,000 people were under evacuation orders across Southern California. This map showing multiple wildfires raging across Los Angeles County, fueled by dry conditions and a rare wind event, gusts up to 100 miles per hour. The fire in Pacific Palisades, now the most destructive in Los Angeles history, leveling entire blocks, reducing grocery stores and banks to rubble. The flames tearing through highly populated and affluent neighborhoods. Mansions reduced to flaming embers. More than 2,000 homes and buildings have been damaged or destroyed from Pasadena to the Pacific coast. The Eaton fire exploding to more than 15,000 acres in just 24 hours. Flames marching down the mountains into densely packed communities, killing at least 5 people. These images show before and after the flames consumed a neighborhood in Altadena.
This is an elementary school. The building is starting to now completely fall apart. It's being pushed by these heavy winds, and as it moves, it is turning, as you can see, day into night, pitch black down that way.
The California National Guard activating more than 600 service members in what's being called a massive response. Military police helping law enforcement and firefighters. Officials confident they can get a handle on the fires after the winds die down tomorrow.
We'll have red flag conditions probably until Friday. They're going to keep that warning up. After that, everything really starts to kick into gear and we're able to really get the upper hand.
The full scope of the damage may be unknown for days. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And if you were watching that report, you saw one of the planes flying and dropping water. Okay, I listened to a report with ABC News yesterday, saw it live. They were talking with the LA Fire Department, and they were mentioning because those canyon winds have been so incredibly powerful, up to at times hurricane force 75 to even 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts, it's too dangerous. They can't fly those planes into some of the canyons to battle this stuff. So typically where you see the planes dropping water, they can't get them in there. And even if they could, with the wind so strong, the water that they drop would be dispersed. A lot of it would evaporate. It wouldn't be effective. So the main thing they need is for the winds to ease. And it does look like now that the low pressure is working farther to the east, that it is going to lose its grip on LA, and we will see improvements there for firefighters. Let's continue to hope and pray that that does play out and they can get a handle on it. It has been horrible. Here's what's going on with the system right now. We've got an area of low pressure here, and we've got high pressure here. You look at this clockwise winds, that's high pressure. I bring this up because with the high pressure there over the Gulf and this area of low pressure, which again was feeding those Santa Ana winds, as this continues to work eastward and this high draws moisture up from the Gulf, that's why they're setting up for heavy rain. But snow, this is a big, big deal across North Texas and in the Dallas area, and it's got some significant impacts. You see the winter weather advisory, they're preparing to deal with wintry weather, and Eugene Daniel has a lot more on that.
Yeah, Craig, you talked about it. That winter weather not only expected here in Hampton Roads, but also North Texas is preparing for snow there as well. And that could have a big impact on a major sporting event. We're talking about the Cotton Bowl between Texas and Ohio State. It's a part of the college football playoff this year. And that wintry weather is already having some Buckeye and Longhorn fans rethinking their plans. To talk about that, here's Isabella Basco with our sister station in Austin.
To say that Longhorn passion runs deep,
they're loud, they're brazen, they're very proud,
might be an understatement, with fans like Casey Soward driving from Tilden to Arlington despite the possibility of snow in North Texas this week.
We are definitely not going to reconsider. We're going up there. It may take us longer to drive up there, but we're going up there.
With plans being made for the Cotton Bowl, TxDOT's Antonio Lujan is asking travelers to start looking at the forecast in the Dallas and Waco areas.
Road conditions do change, and each geographical area is very distinct and different. So you have to know where you're driving to and make sure that you're in tune with those driving conditions. Again, ice can accumulate at any moment's notice.
One fan who's reconsidering traveling to the game is Lance Williams, a former walk-on whose partner went to Ohio State.
So it was going to be an exciting game for us to go and see in Dallas and be able to attend. House divided kind of situation. Was really looking forward to it. And then now the weather's turned sour, and we shall see. Dallas is dicey at this time of year, so just waiting hour by hour almost to see if it's hopefully going to get better and an opportunity to still go.
With a close watch on the weather, Williams is hoping it doesn't damper the vibrant spirit.
I hope that people are able to turn out because that's going to be important for Texas, for a Texas victory.
That defines the Longhorn way.
Hook 'em horns, that's it.
Yeah, they say hook 'em horns and shovel 'em out horns.
Right,
Maybe.
right.
We'll see. Eugene, you know, the South does occasionally get hit with snow. You see the winter storm watch for northern parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. They get this sometimes. They're under warning, northern parts of Alabama and Mississippi. You mentioned they're coming up on a huge anniversary in Atlanta.
Exactly. You mentioned North Georgia, this portion right here. That's where I'm from, Marietta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. And it's almost 10 years to the day. We call it Snowmageddon.
Right.
A major storm that brought snow and ice to Atlanta. And unfortunately, my mom was one of many people who were stuck on the roadways. And the big issue for people who are in Georgia and some of these places, they don't always have all of the tools and readiness because they're not used to it all the time to make sure everything is good to go on the roads. I think they've done a great job since then of updating everything, but that's the big issue is that ice that gets on the road and people being able to travel because they're not always used to it.
Yeah, it comes down to experience in dealing with that. Now, Eugene casually mentioned his mom was stuck on the roads, but just real quickly, it wasn't just like stuck there for a couple hours.
No, she was stuck there for more than a day and a half. And so it was something in which, we would have hoped she could have gotten on the road sooner. But a lot of people, they just made their plans late. And unfortunately, she was one of those. She's okay.
She was okay.
She was okay. But that's the thing. When you have these storms, that's why it's very important to listen to your meteorologists, to listen to your officials when they're telling you to take heed, just in case you don't want to be stuck out in a situation where now you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's so important that you're prepared. And again, we had Marta giving some good tips. You want to make sure you've got your winter gear in the car just in case. Now, the winter weather we saw in the beginning of the week was the first measurable snow we'd had in Hampton Roads really in a few years, or a couple years anyway. And now we're talking about more of this snow coming in tomorrow night into Saturday. But we're definitely not breaking any records. Meteorologist Evan Stewart takes a look back at some of the snowiest winters and the biggest storms in Hampton Roads history.
It's been over 1,000 days since we last had measurable snowfall in Hampton Roads, our second longest snow drought on record. But this week's snow is a great opportunity to look back at some of the snowiest winters and biggest snowstorms that hit the region. Now, first, Hampton Roads averages 6.2 inches of snow in a season, but that average can be misleading. It's not uncommon to go several years without a significant snow, only to have a big storm blow through. Now, our snowiest winter was 1979 to 1980, when we picked up 3.5 feet of snow, 41.9 inches. And that includes the infamous circus blizzard of 1980. After that was the winter of 1935 to 1936, when we had 37.7 inches. Then we had to go back to the 1800s with 1892 and 1893, that winter picking up 33.3 inches of snow. And in the 40s and 80s, we had over 2 feet of snow. Now, as for the biggest snowstorms, you would expect most of those are the same winters that we've had, our snowiest winters. And two of our biggest snows actually occurred close to Christmas, December 27th and 28th, 1892, and December 25th and 26th, 2010, when we had over a foot of snow. Of course, February 17th and 19th in 1989, we had 15.4 inches of snow. There's that circus blizzard of March 1st and 2nd of 1980 with over a foot of snow. And February 1899, we had 13.5 inches of snow.
Great information there, Evan. Again, we're not going to see record-breaking snow with this round, but it is going to be impactful. That's why I really encourage you to stay weather aware and keep checking back with us. We're working hard to keep this forecast updated, and any subtle changes we see, we pass those along immediately. Today, as far as we go across Hampton Roads, upper 30s or mid to upper 30s. The sunshine, you think, oh, that's going to be nice. But you see these wind symbols here. It will be windy, especially near the water. Up around the eastern shore, I showed you the potential wind gusts, upper 30s to say 40, 42, 43 miles per hour. Possible to get tropical storm force wind gusts over to the eastern shore. Matthews, Hampton, Newport News, windy and chilly all across the peninsulas and at the Outer Banks. Pretty windy as well. Look at that, 36 for Kill Level Hills, upper 30s for interior North Carolina. Overnight tonight, the lows down around 25, still breezy, not quite as windy. The winds will ease a little bit, but breezy. As we go tomorrow, it's going to be another day. Temperatures close to 40. We'll say upper 30s to near 40. We'll start off with sunshine, but those clouds are rolling in during the afternoon. And there's a chance for some snow after sunset, mainly out towards I-95. It'll take a little bit longer. It'll be late evening by the time that snow reaches Hampton Roads. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast and what you can expect as we go forward. Here you go. Temperatures will be warming up a little bit on Saturday, and that's part of this whole, we deal with the snow Saturday morning, then there's going to be maybe a transition or a little bit of thawing as we go through Saturday afternoon. I will say, if we get more snow, we may have to shave that high temperature Saturday a little bit, because if we get more snow and it's actually sticking on the ground and blanketing, that will lower our daytime high a little bit. But we should get some thawing. I am concerned about refreezing on Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, 40 and sunshine. Look at this, Monday. 47. It's going to feel great out there after the cold and snowy weather, and then we get another blast of colder air coming into Wednesday. Let's take this full, and I want to welcome Eugene back over to the wall, because we're going to talk about the coverage. If you haven't already downloaded our mobile app, this is the time to do it so you can stay weather aware. You can scan this QR code. Remember, we will have a weather alert day Friday night into early Saturday morning. You want to download the 13 News Now app. It's absolutely free. Any of our special coverage you'll see streamed to the app. You'll have access to the radar. It's just a great way to stay informed, and I highly recommend you do that. You can follow me on social media. I'll be updating that as well. Find me on Facebook, Craig Moeller, Instagram, Craig Moeller TV, and X, formerly Twitter, at 13 Craig Moeller. And join our team again for the full coverage here with the forecast. Eugene, you're here. You ready to go Saturday?
I'm ready to go, man. I mean, you said it. It's all about making sure that we keep people safe, no matter what is coming in our way, right? And make sure you're informed, that you can make the right decisions for you and your family. We'll be ready to go this week.
Yeah, Hunter Force is still going to be a part of the show. He'll be in with us. I'll be back in. Marta Berglund will be in, keeping an eye on traffic and the conditions out there. I know it's Saturday morning. You don't have to hit the road like a weekday morning commute, but there are still some people that may think, hey, I got to get out there. We're going to let you know exactly what the road conditions are like. Ashley will be in as well. So we've got the whole team here to see you through whatever we get Friday night into Saturday morning. So confidence, it's building, Eugene, and we are going to be ready to go. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this edition of the Weather Desk. And be sure and stay tuned to 13 News Now for updates. We'll keep you covered.